our New England Patriots, your New England Patriots. So, this obviously, the football season is now over, but, there's still talks of who can be targets of free agency, who should be targets in the draft. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So we'll start with free agency. So just obviously, wide receiver has been the point of emphasis, not just for the draft, but also through free agency. So just who are you looking for them to at least target? And what's your dream scenario come March or April?
Dream scenario is that we land Tee Higgins, Chris Godwin, and DJ Reed to go on the other side of the field opposite of Gonzo. And now you got a lockdown corner, lockdown secondary. You got Tee Higgins, Chris Godwin to go along with Pop Douglas and all of the because I think you have those two, or even if you go one of them. Obviously, I would prefer Tee Higgins. Everyone else on your team is better. Everyone else is better. Every other wide receiver is now elevated because they're not going against ones anymore. They're going against twos or threes. And personally, with your $128 million in cap space that you have, you should target those two wide receivers. I would say I do love DJ Reed too. I think that'd be awesome to have him opposite of Gonzo. Yes. And then you should buy an offensive line with the rest of it, like good players, because you should still then have like $60 to $70 million to spend.
Right.
Because I don't trust them. Because I don't want them to draft. Like if with number 4 overall pick. Sorry, I didn't like to answer your entire question and without taking a breath. But I trust Vrabel and his insight, and even Elliott Wolf, whatever, to draft defensive players. I don't want them, and I echo Scarnecchia's opinion. Like if you're the number 4 overall pick, I don't want you to waste it on an offensive lineman unless you're sure. And you were sure about Will Campbell a year ago, but then his season kind of declined, and now we're hearing that he might be a guard. And we need a fucking tackle.
Right. So, So, because some of my boys was giving me shit about that, because it was like, what's going on with your boy? And I'm like, I don't know, but because the thing is, the reason why I was so high on him because he was projected as a tackle. So I was like, if he's a tackle, you get there, you got to get him. But then when the narrative shifted, and they said that he's projected as a guard, and the short arms, and and I said this when we drafted Cole Strange too. I said, look, excuse me, you better be Steve Hutchinson. You better be Steve Hutchinson. You better be Larry Allen. You better be Orlando Brown. You better be in that ilk of linemen, because if not, we're going to look at you like you're crazy. And you shouldn't be reaching at number 4. Really in the top 10, you shouldn't. Right. So that's that. But we'll get back to the draft part in a minute. But as far as free agency goes, I think for me, if I know you're gonna be, I know to the next person I'm saying, you're gonna be like, are you crazy? But I'm just like, I just think that he could still go. I would love Davante Adams here. I would. If you find a way to get him here, please. I think he can still play. So give me Davante Adams, Cooper Kupp, right? So those two. So Kupp and Adams, and then on the defensive side, Jevon Holland, that was in Miami, he was a safety, and then Ronnie Stanley. If you can get a combination of those 4 or all 4, if that was the case, that'd be great. I think that would be awesome. And then just someone from our team, I'd bring back Austin Hooper. I know that they may look to improve that position, and that's fine. I thought Austin Hooper was decent last season, so I think he warrants another year here playing with Drake May. I think that they had a good chemistry last year, and it's clear that especially when Renee is coming back, you're going to be running a lot of plays and from 20 to 20, a lot of seam routes, comeback routes, a lot of screens. So I just feel like that's something where he could be beneficial. But yeah, if you can get Jevon Holland, Ronnie Stanley, Cooper Kupp, and Davante Adams, once again, I wouldn't be mad with Godwin, or they find a way to get DK Metcalf. I wouldn't be mad at that. But Kupp and Adams to me are my personal two favorites, and then like I said, Ronnie Stanley and Jevon Holland I think would be awesome additions here if possible.
Listen, I love Davante Adams, but he clearly wants to go to a team that's going to win. That's in win now mode.
He went to the Jets last year and they bought him out.
Well,
that's cool now.
That's because his boy was there.
Right, but I'm like, to me, he wants to get paid, right? He obviously, any player, any receiver, they're looking to get paid. We have the most money. We have the quarterback now. We have a more credible coach and coaching staff overall. We can easily be back in the playoff picture. Once again, not contenders to winning, obviously, but they can easily be back in the playoff picture next year if they make the right moves. So if I'm him, once again, I at least consider it. Once again, if he wants to end up going back to the West Coast,
what if I combated you with Davante and Cooper Kupp, everything you just said, and I just give you and I say we get Ronnie Stanley, we get Josh Sweat from the Eagles, you get either Tee Higgins or Chris Godwin or Cooper Kupp. You pick like if you can get it. But I think you have a better shot at getting Godwin or Higgins because it's free agency and you're not going to give up a lot of draft capital.
Well, Higgins is about to get franchised, unfortunately, but
and then you go ahead and you draft Mason Graham from Michigan. So now your defensive line is just it's just improved. Like you got Josh Sweat, who's an edge rusher. Mason Graham was a 320-pound Vince Wilfork Jr. just run blocking. I mean, he'll kill the interior of the line. And then you got, obviously, we just talked about, Ronnie Stanley, that your tackle's good. Now you get, not Tee Higgins, Chris Godwin. That should be nine wins. Like that should be 9 wins on this team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, any variation of what we both just mentioned, I'm totally fine with because it's a process towards making the overall team better. They've done a detriment to the overall team success by not investing in this team, and which is why Robert Kraft was getting the slander he was getting.
It's not slander if it's true.
Right, correct. But reaching the John Henry level of critique, because it doesn't matter that you brought in 6. And once again, yes, it's great that we've been in 10 Super Bowls, won 6 of them, but you should be in a place where you're looking to compete on a regular basis. And yes, you're not. No one wins Super Bowl every year, but you should be, at least trying to compete for one.
That should be your goal.
That should be the goal. So it's just like I don't understand. Yes, success changes everybody, good and bad. It just does.
And success, the way that they did it, really fucked them up because they thought that they were onto something and that they were revolutionizing the way to run a football team and organization. It's like, no, you just had a great coach and the greatest quarterback in the history of the game.
Right.
That's it.
And once again, if you can be, like I said, you got your quarterback, you have some other pieces there, but like I said, you mentioned about Joshua. I think Joshua would be a great addition here. If that's the case, we'll talk more about the draft in a minute. But you don't have to worry about getting Abdul Carter if you get Sweat, because now you can just work on the interior, and then to be the front four of Sweat, Baltimore, Graham, and Keon White. Look out.
And also, like getting right into the draft, sorry to hijack it, but there's no chance that Abdul Carter is not going to the Browns, especially with Myles Garrett asking for a trade.
Well, he actually was like, do they comply? Because
he'll hold out.
Sure, but it's just like to me, they also need a quarterback, right? And it's kind of wild.
Wait, they don't have Deshaun?
Man, I mean the fall from grace is crazy, but I just think that I love Cam Ward. I was on the bandwagon, seeing him from Houston last year. I thought that was a guy that
over Shedeur.
Yeah. He's bigger, stronger. Once again, you're getting Shedeur because of his last name right now. Once again,
now that's slander. Think about the teams that Shedeur has been on
And
So I would pick Shador over most like Alabama or top SEC schools, right? Because those quarterbacks do well because the conditions around them are perfect. Like we saw Mac Jones. Shador has done well, like put up fucking great numbers when things around him are terrible. I mean, he did it.
No,
He made Travis Hunter.
But it's not just his play factor with him. It's just about the gate as well. And that, once again, it's not a thing. That's just what it is. But to your point that you just mentioned, some could combat that and say, well, when you also played with arguably the greatest prospect in the last 5 or 6 years in Travis Hunter, it helps. And of course it does. They're going to have 2 to 3 guys, or maybe even 4 guys drafted offensively. So you got Shador, obviously Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn is going to get drafted as a wide receiver. And I think that tight end, I think his last name is Webster, I forget his first name. He might get drafted in a day 2 or day 3 slot. So they got some guys there that are NFL talent. They'll get better because the offensive defensive lines were horrendous when Dion came in there. So yeah, they're building something really good, down there, and I hope that they continue to produce. But I just think, but to me, like I say, Cam Ward, when you're that big, that strong, I just always lean towards that type of QB. But I do think that both of them will be excellent quarterbacks. It's just a matter of how they're developed depending on where they go.
Yeah, 100%. I would just always opt for a guy who's performed well when the conditions around him did not easy for that to happen. And yeah, he had Travis Hunter. No one's gonna
right.
But I mean, for him to put up the stats he put up, even Jackson State, but 2 years at Colorado. I mean, he was an offensive juggernaut, and it wasn't just to Travis Hunter.
Right. That's what I'm saying. His play got Jimmy Horn drafted.
Right.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with you. So I'm not. There's no way that Jimmy Horn is drafted without playing there. So I love that for him, and they should that is something that I think more guys will flock there in the future because of that. But yeah, that's awesome. But let's go further into the draft. So I think you brought up one guy already that you're a fan of. So I didn't name everyone that could be in the top 10. I just put 6 guys on here. So we got Abdul Carter, Ted McMillan, Will Campbell, Will Johnson, Mason Graham, and Michael Williams, who's the edge rusher from Georgia. So just pick. You already picked one of them, but just who will be your top 3 choices for them at number 4? And then just what else do you want them to focus on, as they go throughout the draft?
Well, in a perfect world, Travis Hunter falls to number 4, and you can get him because I think if he's there, you take him. But in reality, if you're at number 4 and it's between Will Campbell and Mason Graham, I would get Mason Graham. I just think he's a game wrecker. He is the closest thing to Vince Wilfork that we can see. Can you imagine that line? Again, if everything that happens in free agency that I want to happen does, and you get Sweat, and now you get Barmore and Mason Graham on that line, like how are you going to run against us? You're also like every quarterback in the league is going to be under pressure. Don't like I don't I don't like running backs. I would then if you need to, if you have the opportunity to move back in the draft and pick up a couple more picks. If you can get James Pierce or McMillan, do that. Love that. I do like those players. But my dream scenario, and I don't know if it will happen, is you get to pick, like I said, Mason Graham at number 4. And for some reason, people are asleep at the wheel and Luther Burden falls into the 2nd round and you get him. Because then I think you just added another great skill player onto your team.
Yeah, he's from Missouri, right?
Mizzou, yeah. He's out of this world.
Yeah, he's nice. Matthew Golden from Texas, also at that spot, could be a good fit. I do not want them to get Isaiah Bond. I just don't. It's giving me Tyquan Thornton vibes, but that's just how I feel. I could be dead wrong, but that's just I might out. They don't go get Matthew Golden. Dude could run routes. He creates separation, and they severely need that at that position. So, but I think for me, Carter would be the number one person for me if he was there for. It'd be Carter, Mason Graham, and then Tim McMillan. But once again, the only reason why I cooled on the Will Campbell thing is because once again I thought he was going. Yeah, I thought to be a guard. I'm like we don't need. Once again, so I was saying if you're not gonna be Steve Hutchinson or like a Larry Allen, or even guys that we had here like the Damian Woodies or the Joe Andruzzi's, Joe Tooney's. Like if you're not gonna be in that mode, I don't see where you fit, and that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, Carter, Graham, and Tim McMillan. I could see them swerving and getting someone like Will Johnson, which is the corner from Michigan as well. I think that they can have a mindset of like, okay, we need 2 lockdown corners. So that wouldn't be a bad thing if that was the case, but he's kind of like the dark horse pick for me. But yeah, I think that, getting Graham, like you mentioned, would be a game changer for sure. They haven't had that up there in a long time. Someone that can disrupt like that. And once again, Barmore is awesome now. Once again, but just because we don't know where he'll be health wise. And that should be the most important thing. Obviously, I don't care about what he does on the field. I want him to have a long, healthy life. But if he's able to be out there producing, him and Graham should be a terror on the interior. So I'm here for that. But I brought up Tim McMillan. Listen, people are getting nervous because there was like, oh, his separation stuff, and he's not, he's not great at the top of the route and whatever. Personally, I think it's a case of we've had too long to talk about a player, so now we're overanalyzing.
Yep.
He's 6'5", 230, has a great catch radius, and we've seen him have phenomenal games last season. He's 6'5", I'll say it again, and you can't teach that. If he's there, if you like him, get him, and just figure out the rest from there. Because to me, if he turns into Mike Evans, you now got a Hall of Fame wide receiver
to pair with your hopefully
pair with
franchise quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm here for it. So we'll see. But they have a lot of different options. But to answer the other question about the area need, like obviously, I know how you feel about running backs, but it's clear that if you at least have 1 or 2 good backs, it helps. Once again, doesn't mean you're going to win it, but it helps. And yes, obviously,
if you have Saquon, you're going to win.
No, right. But that's I'm saying. But it's like but even teams that had 2 decent backs usually have done well for the most part of the last 2 seasons. I think that's just how running back position is going. I want Drake May's former teammate Amarian Hampton. That's not happening. He's going to go earlier than I expected, so that's okay. I really like the kid from Arizona State. We were talking to Joe about him, but Joe didn't like his attitude. But I was like, nah, Cam Scatterbo, like that brother could play too. So to me, if he's there in the 3rd or 4th round, instead of wasting it on a fucking punter, go get Cam Scatterbo from Arizona State in that slot. He is James White 2.0. Watch the tape. He's James White 2.0.
I trust you.
Yeah, so it's just like I'm saying to the audience, go watch the tape. Yeah, go watch the tape, guys. He's that good, and I think that we should do that. But yeah, go get some more linemen if you can. I'm talking about on the defensive side too, and then get some speed at linebacker. Get some speed at linebacker. Look in the SEC, look in the Big 12. Look there. So get some speed at those positions, and you need to be back on track. Because once again, we historically like the big linebackers here, but
that was a Bill thing. But I trust Vrabel to pick out the athletic, fast linebackers.
He was a big guy too.
Yeah, I know he was.
I trust
him with that shit.